Treat, a few months ago, the National Touring Company of Les Mis came to town, and I interviewed one of the understudies because I felt sorry for understudies because they don't get on very often. As it turned out, that week he got to fill in. When you were an understudy on Grease, how frustrating an experience was that for you, and how often did you get to go on?
It was very frustrating in a way. I mean, I was an actor full of attitude, and I wanted to come and learn. And I remember having long evenings at my parents' home. My mother couldn't understand why I'd be so upset, and I said, I'd rather work in an off Broadway play. But I was making a living, and I didn't realize at the time how lucky I was to have that job. And actually, after a couple of months, actors, and it was summer when I got the job, and fall came, and flu season came, and all of a sudden I started going on all the time. And it turned out to be one of the great learning experiences in my career, because I was actually, like in repertoire, I was playing 5 different roles. And in fact, I was understudying John Travolta and Jeff Conaway and a whole bunch of very good actors.
Well, how often did you fill in? How often did
Well, I went on immediately when I first got there, and I was really awful. I was terrible. I remember Olivier saying once how sorry he felt for the audiences who paid money to see him learn to act. And I kind of felt the same way. I was just nervous, and I remember one day, there's a blackout just when you start, and an actor, and I was playing Danny Zuko, the lead, for the first time, and then we go to blackout, and this actor was face to face with me, and he said, "Don't you screw up tonight." The lights came up, and I was frozen with fear. But I somehow got through it. But it was a great experience, and I went on quite a bit, and ended up actually coming back a year later and playing the lead for 3 years. So.
There was a great interview with the late John Belushi talking about 1941, where Spielberg took him through some of the places where they were building the sets, and he looked around and said, "Wow, this is really big-time movie making." When you worked on that film, what impression did it leave on you?
Well, it was the same thing. It was, we were working with this young Turk. I mean, Spielberg was a kid then, just like us. We were all the same age. And we were on these sets with these enormous sets. And I remember one of the most impressive things was there was an airplane crash where Belushi flies a P-51 and lands on the street. And they just didn't get it right. And every night we came back. It was costing $1 million a day or something, whatever, outrageous amount, to land this airplane, which hung from a wire, a full-size dummy plane. And if it didn't work, they'd rebuild it and come back and shoot it the next night. It was amazing. And, all of the back street of, I guess it was Universal back lot, looked like a 1940s canteen with signs lit up, and it was just amazing.
What was the mood on that film? Because I know it wasn't the best received Steven Spielberg film.
Well, I mean, the actors, we were all wild and crazy in those days. It was a crazy time. It was the Belushi days. It was Saturday Night Live. He and Danny were just coming off the success of that and the Blues Brothers, and it was just in a cast of wonderful actors. But it was kind of pretty wild,
I have a question about a movie you did, Prince of the City.
Yeah.
When that movie came out, I just started doing reviews. I remember there was a lot of hype about that film, and I'm just wondering, almost like the movie Rush, do you think sometimes that too much hype can hurt a film?
No, I think it's a 3.5-hour film, and it's a serious subject, and it's a difficult film for any audience to sit through. I also think a lot of films that are meant to be, that have longevity, actually, if you look back over the course of Hollywood, and I'm sure you have done that many of the films that we look back on as classics did not have an initially great, successful initial run, but that they have longevity and a kind of life that lasts over a period of time and build an audience. I think Hair is like that too, as a musical. It's memorable, and I just think it's a tough film. It was 3.5 hours long, and it was about a guy who most people considered a rat. That's a tough leading character to watch, but I thought I thought Sidney did an extraordinary job.
Yeah, well, turning to Things to Do in Denver, I know it wasn't the biggest budget film around.
No.
What kind of corners did they cut? I mean, corners that made you laugh, little things that they wouldn't have on a big movie. Like, was the catering not quite as good, or?
You have to understand, I'm a guy who was making movies in the Dominican Republic fighting plastic sharks with guys sitting on a raft and a camera. So you're asking the wrong guy about, I was on a big Hollywood movie. I hadn't done a film in 6 years. I was just happy to be there. I didn't care whether they had a wagon for a dolly. I didn't care. I was just happy to be there with those guys. I didn't feel corners were cut, to be honest with you. But you know, you have to understand something. My first picture back in features cost $70,000. My Winnebago was a little folding chair. So you know, I was very honored to be there.
Well, you have a great performance in this film. I mean, why do you think there's been the lull in your career?
Oh, because I was young and stupid when things were cooking for me, you know, and I had to grow up and get my life straightened out. And by the time I did, the film stuff was slow, and so I went to work doing what I do and still do, which is to be the best actor I can be. I think it's like luck. Luck is really, and I believe this, the ability to see opportunity when it arises and take it and be prepared for and take advantage of it. And in that respect, I was lucky that after about 6 years of looking for the right film to do again, this is the one that came along. And I certainly was very prepared not to screw this one up.
No, your character does a great transformation, especially at the end. I think a lot of people were pretty shocked when they see you dressed for full battle gear. How did the crew react to you when you were walking around the set dressed like that?
I think the crew was very respectful. You have to understand, we came in, it was a 4-page scene and primarily a monologue for me, and Andy had very little to do. And we started, because we'd gone late at 6 at night. And I think the crew was, we were all business. I had a lot of stuff to do. And we came in at 6 o'clock and I stood up against that counter. We started in the middle of the scene. And we just started rolling and doing it because we had to get this stuff on film. And I was very focused. I was not in a joyous mood. I mean, I was not in a bad mood, but I was all business. I wanted to get this on film the way I knew it should be on film. And we only had a limited amount of time. We had one night to shoot this, all that stuff. So everybody was all business. There wasn't much chat going on. I guess to be honest with you, I have no idea what the crew's reaction was because I wasn't thinking about it. I was thinking about what I had to do that night.
When you shoot a scene like that, do you find that the crew leaves you alone? Do they kind of just let you into your own space and not bother you?
Yeah, you know, but you do things to blow off the tension. You know, you make a crack, or you know, after a particular take, you say, well, that was real genius. You know, if it's not good or whatever. But we had a lot to do, and you know, it's funny. Actors either allow a crew in, or there are other actors who say, I don't want to talk to anybody. I come on, I do my thing, and I'm back at the trailer. It just depends. Some actors really enjoy a camaraderie with the crew, and other actors feel that it imposes on their, what we call space, I guess. So they don't engage the crew. So it all depends on who it is.
Okay, great. All right, thanks. It was a pleasure talking with you.
You too.
Thanks.
Okay.